Welcome to the ITSM Spectrum podcast, brought to you by Purple Griffon, experts in ITSM training and consultancy. This is a podcast for anyone working in an IT or project-based role, or those who aspire to enter the industry. If you're looking to further your career or upskill your existing team, or simply want to learn more about topics in your field of interest, then settle in and enjoy. Thanks for joining.
Hi, I'm Steve Lawless, CEO of Purple Griffon. Welcome back to our latest podcast for ITSM Spectrum. And today we'd like to concentrate on, this episode, concentrate on recruitment. Today we've got Joe with us to give us some advice and guidance on recruitment. Joe's obviously been in the industry a number of years. So Joe, would you like to give us an introduction to yourself, what you've done, where you're coming from, where you're going?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So to introduce myself, I've been working in recruitment for 7+ years. I have been working for a company called Tech Systems. They focus on IT consultancy, so delivering not only people but projects as well for about 80% of the Fortune 500. I myself started off as within the recruitment team, so I was providing the individuals for those projects for a couple of years before I then transitioned to the front end of the business development and actual account management side. So I started off doing IT security for financial services, then transitioned a little bit into infrastructure and cloud. And then from there, a couple of years back, transitioned into our life sciences. So I'm supporting pharmaceutical clients, predominantly with data and AI. That was a couple of years before the whole LLM trend as well. So was quite well positioned for a lot of kind of growth in the last couple of years. And yeah, I think I saw a lot of big interest in kind of trends and stuff that I really wanted to focus on, which was why I essentially took the opportunity now to launch this company and have a key focus on some of those, including women in tech and some of the products I think I'm going to talk about today, such as the Recruit, Train, Deploy.
Well, we're looking forward to working with you, hand in hand, in terms of training and recruitment. And if you can give us some insights into the value-added services that you can provide to Purple Griffon, that's great.
So essentially, the way we're going to set it up is three main arms of the business. So focusing on the recruitment arm, which is essentially just permanent and contingent staffing. Very much a case of if individuals are looking for support, that's how we can provide them with the right individuals via search service. There's also the consultancy arm of the business as well, which is essentially what we've been doing. More to do with providing outcomes rather than just people. And then there's also an arm as well, which is the kind of women in technology, which is a big focus for the company. So helping companies, I think there's a stat about 72% of companies now have got a D&I initiative, but only about 38% of companies actually have hit their targets of that. So companies have got a really big focus now on as they should, women in tech. And we're here to basically help them focus on that as well through a couple of different services. There's a kind of an executive search, a bottom layer to that, which is a recruit, train, deploy model. So it's providing the people and training them up over a 12-month period. And then the middle layer is more of a consulting layer. So how do they, making sure the businesses are set up in the right way, basically.
By looking at three different avenues, we should be able to provide services to people looking for new roles, new opportunities, career progression, but also help our existing customers who've got a skill shortage. Yeah, because there's a global skill shortage at the moment. Although AI will be able to fill a lot of those gaps, it won't be able to fill all of them. AI is not that good. But I definitely like the idea of being able to, for organisations, being able to recruit, train, and deploy staff. So how would that work in a bit more detail?
Yeah, so basically, as you just said, the IT market it's fishing from the same pool, all these companies. It's a big challenge for them. And there's only a finite number of individuals with the correct skills. So there's what we call war for talent, basically. And the idea between the recruit, train, deploy model is providing a different solution to that, rather than just taking a bit of a shopping list of, okay, what skills do you need from the individual? What type of individuals do you need? What we essentially do is find out more of a culture fit. Okay, so what's the type of individual you're looking for, taking the skills aside? And then using Purple Griffon is taking a bit of a gap analysis on that. So, okay, well, you're saying you want this type of individual, soft skills is one thing. And ideally, if you're looking for the right person, they need to have X amount of, certifications or specific skills for the role. So what we essentially do is we go out and find those individuals from a soft skills perspective that may necessarily not have the right technical skills, and train them up a little bit. So what we do is we get that individual, we do a gap analysis. Okay, where are they currently? Where do they need to be in 12 months' time? Okay, and what certifications will they need? What roadmap should they go on for the 12 months to do that? Now, it's not just a case of they'll be training for 12 months. They will be going in to do the role. So you can't have someone who is maybe, 1,000 miles away from where they go. But by providing a bit of a platform for them to, a springboard, it allows us to open up that talent pool a little bit further. So, it's not necessarily just for graduates. It can be applied to diverse hires. If women in tech, for example, is probably about, I think it's 26%, something like that. Yep. So it's within the IT sector. So it's about how can we maybe bring more women into that, and provide them the right skills. Same again for veterans, people looking for work who are ex-forces. And obviously the graduates is one too. And the final one is maybe people who are looking for a bit of a career change, but may not necessarily have that. So are they, looking to maybe transition to cybersecurity, IT service management? Can we provide them the tools to do that and access to these clients as well? That's essentially how it works.
Right. So huge benefits for our customers.
Yeah.
In terms of being able to get the right person with the right skills, with the right certifications at the right time to meet the business needs.
Correct. Yeah. And I think the other thing as well to notice, they will be productive on day one. So we hire these individuals as employees of Intelligence Connected. They will be then kind of deployed as a contingent worker or a consultant on site of the client, and they'll be working with, their line manager. They'll be being essentially an employee of the sponsor or the client who's going to be working there. They will have set training days. So let's say one Thursday in every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. They'll have a delivery lead as well, who is going to be making sure they stay on track, tracking that actually delivery as well, and reporting back to the clients. A mentor, ideally, someone in the business who's got a bit of time who can provide that to them. But the idea being is it's not going to be 12 months of someone pay for someone and they're just going to sit there doing training for 12 months. They will be doing the job. They'll be learning on the job. We'll be creating personal development plans for them, action plans outside of the the curriculum. But then when it comes to the actual qualifications and stuff, there'll be dedicated learning days and the e-learning platform and stuff like that as well. That's great.
So that our customers be able to fully exploit the 300 different courses we've got available.
Yeah.
So a massive range of skills they could employ.
Yes, I mean, it's highly bespoke. It's based on the individual. We didn't want to do it where it was going to be a stock kind of out of the box solution where everyone gets the same training course. There are boot camps as well, for things like that, where everyone gets put on the same 13-week course. Clients can sponsor that, and at the end of it, they transition to the client. But we wanted something that was quite malleable, and then you could work with the clients. And it was based on the individual. So, if there's a cohort of 5 individuals, they may not necessarily have the same learning L&D pathway. Some may need a little bit more, some may need a little bit less. But it's all about the individual and kind of working with the client to come up with a solution and a strategy around that, basically.
It sounds like you're, I think, a really good offering.
Okay.
Thought it through well. I think there's a huge demand to fill the skill shortage that's there. And also in terms of compliance, organisations that have to meet certain quotas in terms of disseminating recruitment, and also accessibility to employment. So it's certainly going to help the individuals and the organisations. So I'm really looking forward to us deploying that.
Definitely.
And seeing people come through the training and see their careers develop over time.
Yeah.
Are there any sort of trends that we should be looking out for in terms of recruitment? The main one is AI at the moment.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I find that the recruitment industry has changed a lot since I started, but in some ways there's still people up to the same old tricks as well. There are probably the main things people are doing is diversity and inclusion is a big one. And particularly women in tech is a big focus for companies now. Like I said, a lot of companies have strategies within that. AI obviously is massive. A lot of companies, recruitment companies, even the end clients as well, who have in-house recruiters, will use application tracking systems. A lot of these now are starting to have kind of like integrated with ChatGPT, for example, and they'll do the initial outreach to potential candidates. They can even maybe schedule the interviews for them. A lot of it is, like NLP. Let's have a look at maybe, give them a command and it will look for maybe CVs of a certain nature. But I just don't think there's any, until they come up with the, general AI, for example, I just don't think it's ever going to replace that. I think the idea being is it's supposed to enhance the individuals and a lot of the automation in it as well. So I think AI is maybe going to be enhancing it, but I don't think it's going to be, I think there's a lot of challenges with that still. I mean, technology is great. We're talking about enhancements as well. There's obviously data analytics with it, and trying to reduce the lead time to hiring someone, which is essentially what we're trying to plan to do a little bit, is approach recruitment as a bit of an agile way on how do we make it better. It's not necessarily just, you work with the clients and you just keep sending them stuff. As over time, you try and change and make, you can learn basically how they make it better. So, you understand the type of individual they hire, and then therefore you can kind of reduce the lead time as well. Yep. Is there a type of individual they hire? Do they come from a certain background? Do they have certain skills? Do they come from a certain industry as well? Have they worked for a previous company? If the last 5 hires a company has made have all been from, I don't know, a big major bank, for example, then okay, maybe there's a trend and maybe we can do that. So there's a lot of data analytics around that to try and reduce the lead time and enhance and make it a better product for the clients. Probably the final trend as well to note is customer experience, which is one that we were trying to focus on as well. I think for me, there's probably 2 different types of individuals in recruitment. There's recruiter and there's recruitment consultants. I think recruiters are people who will just not necessarily be in a specialism. They will maybe have less than a year experience, fell into recruitment. I know a lot of people do, and arguably sometimes you have to be a recruiter before you become a recruitment consultant. But I think it's to do with it's basically they're unspecialized. They haven't really got much understanding of the market. Spam recruitments. They'll send 20 to 50 CVs to every individual they have on a mailing list. And there's a term called break and fling as well, which is you ring the individual and then you fling the CV over. So that's recruiter. And the other side is recruitment consultants as well. So those would be the opposite to that. It'd be someone who has got a specialism in it. They've got a very specialist network of people. And when you actually work with them, it's not necessarily just taking a shopping list. They'll be able to consult on you. Okay, so you're looking for this. I don't think that's right. Maybe how about we try and look for this because that's pretty niche. And provide maybe a couple of people who the confidence are who are going to be right. So that's what we're trying to do basically is provide a bit more of a specialism to the market.
Yeah, it sounds a lot more bespoke. Yeah, but as I said previously, I must get 10 emails a day.
Yeah,
from recruiters looking to place people or to get me to spend my hard-earned cash on their services. But what we're really looking for is a bespoke service, so our customers can actually tell us what skills they need, in terms of the individual, what attributes they're looking for, and we can actually get someone maybe not exactly fits the bill, we can train them up so they've got those skills and competencies. Right, that's brilliant. That's hopefully our customer base will see that as a great advantage. And so from the individual's perspective, because obviously we've got lots of people who are looking for jobs.
Sure.
So looking to find either their first career placement or looking to move on in their career for one reason or another. So what services can we provide them in terms of placing them in
I think
organisations?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's I think when it comes to the individuals, it's about providing them with we'll say about recruitment consultants, is providing them with the correct advice, pre-interviewing, techniques. So actually providing interview techniques with them, understanding around their actual CV, making sure it's the right type of CV for it, making sure they've actually showcased themselves in the right way. You probably find a lot of people who don't probably ring their own bell enough on the CV. So, stuff like that. I think a lot of it is just providing a good service for when it comes to candidates. If you look on our website, for example, one of the things we want to do is we want to standardize the industry. I'm not saying it's bad, they're all back recruiters, but there's a lot, it's very up and down, and everyone, including myself, has got a story around poor experience with a candidate. And for clients too, like the candidate experience, I think there's a stat, it's about 83% of candidates have actually said that a good experience during the actual hiring process with a potential, hire a future employer, actually impacts their decision at the end of it. So customer experience is it's a really big thing at the moment. And that's what I was talking about before with the recruiter and the recruitment consultant. So we're not trying to do anything which is maybe, we've got this brand new product and this is how we're going to get you the job. I think it's about certain things we're putting in place and agreeing with the client, for example. So set SLAs, making sure we have feedback from the client within 72 hours, which is really important.
Yep.
I mean, there's plenty of stories of people who have went for an interview and never heard from the recruiter again. Probably, you've been contracting. I'm sure you've probably been. I've been on the receiving end of that as well. So
I have many years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So it's about trying to pre-agree with our clients and make them aware about making sure that they provide the candidates with the best customer experience, because they might not be the only person they're interviewing with. It might be 3 or 4 other companies. So it's about how do you differentiate yourself, because there's only so many perks you can offer in a job, and everyone likes to think their company's unique, but chances are it's probably not. So yeah, I mean, short answer to the question is nothing out of this world, but it's about standardizing. It's about agreeing specific SLAs, making sure that you're actually paired with someone from our company who has got some, has actually a real good experience in the market, 5+ years experience within the recruitment industry, and can provide you with that kind of cover to it as well. I think when we call about the recruit, train, deploy, well, it's obviously, providing someone with the opportunity to move into maybe a job that they've always wanted to do, providing those services and those actual training opportunities via Purple Griffon, giving them opportunities to come to a company and do something maybe that they not necessarily thought was possible in the past, I would say as well.
That's great. And I think it complements our existing services in terms of training needs analysis, making sure people have the right skills to be able to carry out their job.
Yeah.
And the way we've diversified our training portfolio over the years and tried to keep it up to date. So like being one of the first professional training companies to offer AI training.
Yeah.
So in the BCS AI Foundation course, I'm working with the BCS in developing their portfolio of training.
Nice.
to allow people to get into AI related jobs. So yeah, if we can provide a bespoke recruitment function working alongside our bespoke training function, I think we've got a winner. well, hopefully our customers will think we've got a winner and will engage with us. Right, Jeff, can you, from the individual's perspective, can you offer some advice to individual job seekers?
Yeah, in terms of what they should be doing?
Yeah.
So I think for people looking for jobs, there's some basic stuff. I think it'll be when you go for an interview, for example, making sure I'm talking about, ring your own bell. But I think a lot of people in the past have fell down is they talk about what the team did, not necessarily what they did, which should be quite an easy thing. You'd be surprised how many people actually don't get the job because that's what they talked about in the interview. So that's quite a big one. Key one, this is probably both for individuals looking for jobs and people looking for individuals. Just find a good recruiter. It can be absolutely to your detriment by either using a bad one or using multiple ones. Now, it's good having a couple of ones because not one recruiter is going to have access to every company. But you need to make sure that they maybe are knocking on the doors in the right way for you. There's been times when I spoke to a client around an individual, and it turns out this individual has actually been shared to a client already by 5 different recruitment companies. It doesn't come across the right way. Yeah. And all they're doing is putting the CV out looking for a job, but making sure you don't use too many individuals and making sure that you use the right individuals is probably the biggest advice I can give to someone. The final one will be networking, conferences, LinkedIn. There's plenty of people who post on LinkedIn as well, saying they're looking for individuals for roles, saying they're hiring. And do your own kind of activity if you can. Recruiters are great, but recruitment agencies and companies don't necessarily have access to all the companies. A lot of companies have their own internal ones. So that'll be the best.
Right. How about people's CVs? Okay, or do people still have CVs?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I mean, a lot of companies are asking to do. We talked about the technology before, online interviewing. So there's pre-made questions, and they'll have to record themselves answering it. There's obviously also like cover letters, for example. They're good. I mean, it's service level, but I think if you don't have a good CV, I mean, that's obviously going to be the first thing. I think there's, I think it's important to have a good CV because that gets your foot in the door, basically. And if I had 2 individuals, you tend to find people maybe who've come from contracting and are used to building that CV and know how to write it a bit more. If you have ever worked with a permanent individual, they probably may need a bit more coaching on the CV. So very important. Like I said to you, before, it's about making sure you ring your own bell, making sure you develop in the right way. Happy to have a conversation with any individual who's looking for that. Likewise, there's plenty of services online, plenty of different maybe templates as well to help you do it. Yep. There's plenty of ways that you can do, but make sure the CV is up to scratch. Definitely.
I definitely get the point about this is what I've done as opposed to this is what we did.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and
it's worked as part.
Oh yeah, it is a big one. Yeah, and I think as well, people have got people like to write a story basically of it, and sometimes I think the average time is probably, I think it's about 30 seconds. An average employer looks at a CV. The other thing as well is there's a stat that says 1 in 5 people lie on the CV. So
never
don't lie. Yeah, don't be that individual because you'll obviously then go in for an interview and you need to be able to back that up.
Yeah. You soon get cut out.
Definitely.
Yeah, you say you've got skills that you don't have.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of horror stories about people who have, went for an interview and then hired someone else to actually take the interview for them, and then the first day of the job turns out this totally different person. So, to be honest, because it reflects banding on you. The IT industry is big, but there's names can get round.
Yeah. I'm sure you can't have blacklists, but I'm sure they do exist.
Right. Not a blacklist, but black dot next to the name.
Yeah. Right. Okay. That's for the individual. How about the employers? Have you got some advice for employers?
Yeah, I think customer experience is a big one. What we're talking about that is, we're talking about that's a key focus for our company is a lot of candidates will make a decision based on that. I said before, I think it's about 83% of candidates influence them highly on decision making. There's another stat as well, which is roughly around about in the 80% is of individuals have a key focus on D&I. So they would prefer a company who has got a D&I initiatives as well, makes it a key focus. That will be a primary look or primary thing they are concerned when they're looking for a new employer. So obviously making sure you've got initiatives within that and a key focus in that space as well. Now D&I is massive as well. I think women in tech specifically is a really big one, but there's there's neurodiversity, which is another really big one as well at the moment. So it's about provide a good customer experience. So don't leave the candidate waiting for weeks and weeks for feedback. Like I said, we're having a pre-agreed SLAs with our candidates, with clients that we work with as well. So we always aim to get the individual feedback within 72 hours. And a big one as well is if you want to attract the right talents, a couple of years back it was called the employee value proposition. I think post-COVID it actually changed to something called the human deal. So it's a thing that was done by Gartner a couple of years back, and if you just type it in on Google, for example, go in images, there's a nice little graph that shows you what it is, and it talks about what candidates really want. There's stuff that companies, when you ask them, okay, well, what's your company offer? Well, we offer Fizzy Friday, and we've got Prosecco tap in the office. It's like, that's great, but one, it depends on what type of individual you try and target. The age bracket, for example, if someone's got a family, they're not going to be sitting in the office, but they probably drove to get the Fizzy Friday. So, the human deal, essentially, there's a couple of different elements to it. It's about belonging, is a key one. And what I mean by that is not necessarily just the company. It's about what the company does within its community. What do they do? What are their actual ESG kind of initiatives within that? There's about are they actually doing what they're saying? So if a company's got a mission, for example, how are they actually conveying that and actually trying to impact that? There are a lot of companies will have values stuck up on their office, for example, but are they living and breathing it? Are they trying to implement that? Flexibility, massive one. Particularly we're talking about women in tech as well. The pay gap and the between women who haven't got children versus women who have got children. So if you looked at women and pay gap in general, typically women who are single but don't have children, for example, it's not actually that big of a difference between male. Supposedly, you may need to check that. But when it comes to actually post, when the sort of woman's got family, for example, after maternity leave, that's when the biggest challenge is for them. So it's about providing, flexibility. And what we're talking about flexibility on case of making sure you do the hours. If you do, as long as you do your hours, then, can you do that? Work from home, and just being treated like an adult, basically, is a big one for candidates. There's other ones as well, to kind of focus on within that. So, I think one is holistic wellbeing. So that's about what do you provide to your candidates or your employers, should I say, at this point, for their whole wellbeing. So, and not only that, did they take it? Are they promoted and actually encouraged to do it? A lot of companies will say, okay, well, you may be able to go to the gym, but then it's frowned upon to actually do it. So yeah, and then the final thing as well is personal growth. So it's obviously talking about the training and making sure individuals have that. It's a really big one for candidates, is making sure that when they go in a company, are they going to grow? Are they going to develop? Are they going to be provided with the right level of training for them to continue to grow in a company? So yeah, that's the main things I would say. So it's all about creating a good value proposition for candidates. I would say that's probably a really big thing for companies to look on, is how you're perceived in the market. Final point I would say as well is obviously the recruiter points, making sure you're working with recruiting companies that not only are giving you candidates a good experience, but making sure that they actually demonstrating that and can convey that branding in the right way. Do they actually truly know your company? Are they willing to do that? Are they able to actually promote what you're trying to sell, what you can provide them in the right way, to actually attract that talent and beat your competitors in the market for it?
Yeah. Right. Thanks for that. Yeah, but hopefully let's give our customers some insight in terms of how they can attract and retain the staff. Right, Joe. I think you talked about it slightly before you touched on it, but could you give us some insight on women in tech?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a very big subject for companies. And when we talk about how we support clients from that women in tech arm of the business, what we're essentially doing is focusing on companies on 3 layers. So the first, if you look at the bottom layer, for example, the bottom layer is the RTD model, and it's about trying to bring talent in from places that may not necessarily have been accessible for companies before, train them up in the right way, and trying to help companies actually achieve their targets that way, their D&I targets that way. The top layer is exec search, or not necessarily just exec C-suite, for example. It's anyone from a leadership position. Companies typically who have a key focus on this type of thing typically outperform competitors in the market as well. And women in leadership is quite a challenging one. There's only about 6% of women in companies are CEOs. So it's a key focus on that. Try to help companies attract more leaders to the business. And then the middle layer is the consultancy arm. So it's a key focus of ours is to try and educate companies on, how do we join that bottom layer to the top layer? How do we get those people who have come into the business to stay in the business? We're talking about people who have got families, women who may have to take maternity leave. What do the priorities look like when they return? So it's about consulting businesses the right way. So there's a couple of different arms of it. For example, different work streams we focus on, which would be a 2-day consultancy kind of workshop where we go in and understand how maybe things are done currently and make a suggestion or a report on how they maybe be able to do that a little bit differently. So whether that be, do they have a mentorships program, pairing maybe women with a leader, whether that be a male or a female, mentoring them. Their hiring methodologies, how does that look like? Do they blind screening on their CVs, for example? Do they have a number of, the interviewing panel, for example? Is it a diverse interview panel? And there's other ones as well that we provide to them in terms of different work streams as well. So them 3 layers there essentially are ways that we are hoping to target and support companies achieve their the D&I targets.
I think there's lots of evidence about that organisations that have diverse teams are more successful and more productive than organisations which just focus on one type of person.
So there's plenty of stats with it as well. There's even examples of when it's been a male-heavy approach to things, and the impact of maybe bringing in female on product development, for example. There was a story of I think it was in either Denmark or Sweden, for example, and it was a snowplow industry. And up until that point, it was dominated by males, and everything they thought about was, okay, well, we'll make sure we do the snowplowing on the roads first because that's where the males drive to work. And then someone come with the idea of, okay, well, why don't we focus on doing it on the paths? Because that's where the females were maybe having with, they're pushing the prams and maybe walking. And what they found out was it actually reduced hospital admissions by 60%. So there's a lot of different, approaches, a lot of, examples of stuff like that, where as soon as the baby brought a woman's perspective onto things, there's been a real, impact and shift in it. You even talk about the tube line in London was very male focused, because when that was developed years ago, it was developed for males by males, because the idea is everything goes into central London where people go to work and out again. So it's very easy to get from any borough in London to the centre. But if you, for example, try, a female might get from a doctor's, or they might go to the nursery, there's not a lot of tube lines that maybe go there, because it's all very focused on the male, mindset of trying to get the person to and from the workplace, while the female looks after the kids and all stuff like that, because they never worked and stuff. So there's a lot of things to do it, and there's even ones like the even the hiring process, for example, is we may not say it's we try not to be biased, but there's a lot of unconscious bias as well, which is a normal consultancy work stream we talk about.
Yep.
For better or, for the people may think they're trying to do well, but it may actually fall bad. But, the New York Philharmonic, for example, years ago used to be nearly 100% male. And then they started doing blind auditions. So they put the individual behind the screen when they were actually auditioning for the orchestra. And what they found at the time is the percentage actually moved more to female. So it's more female now. Well, that was a couple years ago. That may have changed, but yeah. So there's a lot of ways basically companies can try and do it, and stuff they can implement to try and help, and they may not necessarily even realize there's ways of actually impacting that too. So that's what we're doing, and we've got a brilliant partner who's a business partner, should I say, who's actually going to be focusing and helping with it as well.
Lots of good advice, good information, good services we can provide to our customers. Thanks for those insights. I'm definitely going to remember the example of the New York Philharmonic. Right. So thanks for that, Jen. Looking forward to us launching this product. Although I wouldn't call it a product, but it's a service. Hopefully we can get you back on a future podcast. And explain what we've done over the coming months. Definitely. And maybe share some of our success stories. So, right. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Cheers.